business minds and thought leaders share the secrets to success. Welcome to Call Me Successful.
Casey Taylor, how you going?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. I've seen a lot of your work and you're building a bit of an empire at the moment.
Trying to, mate. Trying to get there.
Our podcast, Call Me Successful, we want to talk to successful people like yourself. You're obviously still young. You've bought 9 properties. You're on fire at the moment. You've done that within a few years, haven't you?
Yeah, so 4.5 years now. So I think I've purchased first property in March 2020, right at the start of COVID.
Yeah. Wow. What made you start this journey? Can you give us a bit of from start to now, what has been the journey here in getting into real estate, buying property?
Well, it goes back to when I was like 11. We built our family home and kind of just sparked an interest in property at that point in time. Started to do floor plans and things and wanted to, I guess, get into being an architect potentially. And then that kind of fizzled out, but it just naturally evolved into wanting to purchase property, build an investment portfolio. Did my course to be a licensed real estate agent in 2012. I was in Tamworth at the time because that's where I was born and bred. Kind of understood that I would have had to build up a brand there. And then I knew I wanted to get down to Newcastle where I reside now. So I didn't want to kind of build up and then have to go down there, restart again. So I just got into finance and stayed in finance for about 8 years, but then just got obsessed with kind of building up my knowledge with everything property investing related. And that obviously helped me transition into now helping people purchase property and just continue to build up my investment property portfolio.
How old are you?
33.
Yeah.
I'm not that young at all.
Yeah, you passed the 30s. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And I won't be.
Yeah, it goes downhill from there, trust me.
No, that's really cool. I think we're looking at the average first home buyer now is 36.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's probably going to get worse.
Yeah.
But you keep finding holes. I think you've just, we know you've just bought one at Red Bank for 520, was it?
This one's 561 and a half.
561 and a half, which is still achievable for people. And so you keep finding these great rental properties which have a great rental yield.
Yeah.
How are you doing this?
Well, it's just really having the knowledge and understanding the marketplace and not just limiting yourself to potentially where you live, right? Because for so many people, they might be living in Sydney, Melbourne, or potentially closer to the CBD in Brisbane where the price point's so much higher than what they can afford, especially starting on a lower salary. So that's where, as soon as you kind of look nationwide, look at a lot more options, it just opens up that opportunity to be able to purchase with a lot lower value. Or for this property, it is something that needs a lot of work as well. And I'm at the stage in my portfolio where I'm happy to buy something that needs a bit of work. I'll just go outsource the trades, get them to complete that. I stay pretty passive, I guess, in investing, but add that value, get a really cheap price point, just make that capital growth and manufacture it.
How do you scale all of Australia to find the best places? Do you have people on the ground looking for you? Obviously, you run a buyer's agency, Tailored Property Wealth.
Yep.
And are you doing this all yourself, or do you work with other property managers and other real estate agents who are like, hey, I've got something good off market, or how's it working?
Yep. So we do all the data and research in-house on the areas that are kind of prime for growth, and there's a lot of different analytics and metrics that we analyse to make sure that area is low in supply, high in demand. There's strong incomes in that area that are naturally going to push prices higher and that room for growth. But then we do leverage people on the ground. For example, we're at Bray White 8KG, so we have property managers who go out, source property on the ground as well once we kind of get those off-market properties or pre-market properties. And that's really just from having relationships with agents over the years, building those relationships. And a lot of agents choose to give us the off-market properties exclusively sometimes, and that's simply because they know how we operate now. It's not just some random buyer that might not have finance, or it's going to be a bit of a clunky process. So they have the confidence if they come to us. It's going to be a smooth, seamless transaction, which is obviously good for their owner or vendor and good for them, right?
Yes.
Everything easier.
What about everyone?
Yeah.
If we would go back a little bit and we look at the average sort of couple, say they're making $70,000 each,
Yep.
They're looking to get in the property market. Don't know where to start. They live in Queensland.
Yep.
For a lot of people, it seems almost unachievable if they're on the sort of base salaries and they look in the greater Brisbane suburbs and they're looking at things at $700,000, $800,000 of properties.
Yep.
They know that a mortgage repayment is going to be $1,200 a week plus, which if someone gets sick or if something happens to the family, like, we can't afford this. So rent vesting becomes a real thing, a real conversation for people.
Yeah.
How would you start them? What's the process? Say they've got, I don't know, $50,000 to $100,000 saved. Where should they be looking, and what are they doing with you, I suppose?
It's a hard one, right? Because it's not just on the basis of their income levels and obviously savings, because there's some other things to consider, and you need to speak to a broker ultimately at the end of the day. Because if that couple, do they have dependents? Do they not have dependents? That's going to influence borrowing capacity. Do they have personal lending? That sort of thing. That's going to affect their borrowing capacity. I think the best thing to always do, go and speak to a mortgage broker and get an understanding of what your borrowing capacity looks like. For me, starting out, I went in leveraged extremely high. So I went in with a 5% deposit, paid lender's mortgage insurance. It was a really low deposit. I'm borrowing 95% of the value of that property, right? So that's sometimes what you need to do, right? You need to kind of take a little bit more risk, but the reward at the end of that kind of comes into play. So it's hard as well because Brisbane, the market has moved so much. So I secured properties a couple of years ago for $450 that are now $650. So it does progressively move, but go out there and just find what your budget is. And then it's a matter of finding, I guess, options within that budget and not just getting like emotionally involved in if I can't purchase in potentially the exact suburb that I'm looking in, where's another suburb that I can get into the market.
A lot where I've seen your properties, some of them might be sort of lower socioeconomic areas.
Yeah.
How have you found the tenants? Have you had any troubles with them?
Honestly, not really. Like, because what we do on an individual level is, so, right, we buy out west of Brisbane. And there is a lot of bad stigma. There's stigma in so many different areas. And it's not just exclusive to Brisbane. It's in Newcastle. There's suburbs that had a really bad stigma and they're now $1 million suburbs. So what happens is over time, if you can get in now while things are gentrifying, over time price point gets higher and it actually pushes some of that lower socioeconomic stuff out. But when we're doing due diligence on an individual level, there's a lot of stuff we're looking at to make sure it's in that quality pocket. So we actually do analysis on housing commission, percentages of housing commission. Is it directly next to housing commission? Because that's a key component of a quality tenant. We don't purchase directly next to train lines or highways, and there's different metrics we kind of analyse from that point of view. So we're really making sure, even if it is potentially a lower socioeconomic suburb, it's a quality pocket in that suburb. And some suburbs, right, we'll just stay away from naturally, but it is, that individual due diligence on a property level that kind of mitigates that, so that then when you are marketing for a tenant, you are still going to get that high quality tenant. But some tenants that I have, right, some people would look at and be like, I probably wouldn't say yes to them for X, Y, or Z, right? But they can sometimes be your best tenants, look after the property. They want to stay there long term and kind of just naturally creates less headaches if you have that tenant in there long term.
There's so many factors to consider, and I think when people are looking at doing their own rent investing, it's like, where do I start and how do I have the knowledge to really do this whilst they're working full time? And what's your elevator pitch? Why work with you?
Wow, good question. I get asked this one a lot from my partner. At the end of the day, right, if you go, for most people, if you go to your mechanic, you're going to get them to build your engine, fix your engine, whatever that looks like. You're not going to pop the bonnet and fix things a lot of the time yourself unless you're in the cars or whatever. Why, if you leverage someone for your car, why would you not leverage a professional to go out there and make sure that you purchase the largest asset of your life with a professional who really understands that? So the data and research that we kind of provide is second to none to make sure that you're getting above average growth in comparison to the national averages. Getting access to those off-market properties, we secure 80% of our properties off-market, and it's yeah, just that due diligence piece that's getting those high quality properties, high quality capital growth, and it just allows us to go into further properties. So
Do you find by going off market, you're actually getting better deals for your clients as well?
a lot of the time, I would say yes. Sometimes you can still secure stuff on market with your special conditions, right? Or just little bits and pieces in that offer that stand out, understanding a vendor's motive. But a lot of the time, yes, with off markets, you're eliminating so much of the competition. Still have to work extremely quickly on taking action and purchasing those properties, because some of my clients are like, oh, I've got a couple of days to think about this. So it's like, no, you don't. Like, we need to move on this pretty much today. Otherwise, they'll just go to the next person, because if it goes to the market, they might have 30 groups coming through a property. So yeah, it does eliminate competition, but it doesn't mean that every off-market property, right, is good as well. There's so many properties we say no to off-market, and typically they're off-market because the agents know that they're probably not the best quality, so they're trying to just push them through if they can.
Yeah, sure.
So unfortunately, you say no to a lot. There's a lot of properties that get the X, but yeah, those ones that do tick all the boxes, it definitely does help for sure.
So one of the challenges you find being a buyer's agent is everyone is potentially a client as a buyer's agent in a way.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but the people in the market anyway. And I think it's become one of those sexier careers, the buyer's agent. It's been a lot in Australia, probably the last few decades at very least. Real estate agents, sales agents has been a thing. And I think in America, buyer's agents is quite important. It's part of their ecosystem of real estate.
It's just a natural component of it over there, hey?
100%.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that is kind of changing in Australia?
Yes, massively. So I did a course, which was the Buyer's Agent Institute course through Ben Handler, and he's kind of really creating that buyer's agent space, right? And if you look and compare to the US market, it's like they use buyer's agents, they use sales agents, right? So for so long, it was sales agents going up against just the average Joe, whereas now there's buyer's agent on the purchaser side, and they're so underrepresented. So I think it's just a big gap in the market, and that's just naturally taking over. And obviously, as time goes on, people are having less and less time as well. So if they're working full time and they've got so many other commitments, why not leverage that professional to go out there and purchase the largest asset of your life?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like if you look at something like in my situation, I'm looking to buy probably interstate somewhere. Yeah. I'm thinking, where do I start? I'm actually looking at Tasmania. Yeah. That looks pretty cool. More so, if I can invest in somewhere which in 10 years' time, maybe I could go live there. That's sort of my situation. But it's so hard. You don't have the time. I'm working full time. My wife's working full time. When I say full time, I'm like, more than that. It's non-stop what we're doing. And there's so many people in the same boat. I think the buyer's agents it's becoming a sexier thing, as I said, but it's like becoming like more accessible for the everyday. How much do you think, how much are we spending? I don't know if you can give me exact numbers. I don't need exact numbers, but how much could we expect to pay a buyer's agent, and then in return, how much are we making from it, do you think?
Yeah. Look, they range, right? Because it's every industry, there's people that are quality, and then there's people that aren't so quality. So you can go out there and get a pretty cheap rate. I've heard people charge like 5, 6, 7, 8K, but on the flip side, probably not the quality there. I would say roughly around that 15 to 20K roughly is what a fee would look like, but it can vary. Is it a fixed fee or is it based off a percentage? A lot of the like investor stuff is a fixed fee. So that's roughly what the fee is up front. But how I position it to my clients, because some people get stuck in like, it's a big dent in the wallet. Yes, 100% agree, but it's that return on investment, right? And as soon as you look at it long term, 500K asset with just 1% extra capital growth over like a 15-year period means like hundreds of $1,000s extra in your pocket, which is your wealth base, creating more financial freedom for your future, right? So as soon as you kind of look at it like that, the return on investment is massive, but a big part of our core business is purchasing property under market value as well. So that kind of makes it a harder process for us when purchasing, and it does take like 8 to 12 weeks roughly for us to find a property, because there's those little checkpoints that we're trying to meet so that our client can make like 20 or 30K on the way in, from day one, they've made a little bit of money. And then in 12 months, with that combination of under market value in that area prime for growth, they're pretty much in a position where they can go again and make another purchase. So you're making short-term return on investment, but then that long-term is super powerful as well.
It makes sense. And how do you go about actually marketing yourself? If we were to go down this avenue, you do a lot. You've got your own podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on ours.
Thank you.
You're quite out there and you're non-stop. I see your stuff all the time. So Are you finding that's helping you actually create more business?
Yeah. Look, my content started out pretty average and it's probably still got heaps of room for growth, right? But my mindset is you just got to get in and start doing, and naturally over time it improves and improves and improves. But I would say probably 80% of my business is from social media.
Wow.
So it's just heavily investing in that and trying to be even more consistent with that. So when I kind of started out, it might have been one video a week, and I'm trying to get into like a couple of videos a day, ideally, short-term stuff on socials, right? But then doing the podcast as well, doing that consistently once a week, and that's more long-term, long form, I should say, content. And I guess that, I think it helps with like the sales side of things as well, because a client might watch some of the short-term stuff, know who I am, but then they can go and watch the podcast and really get an understanding of what we do and kind of binge watch episodes if they want. And it just builds up that trust, right? So once they reach out, they already know me a little bit. It's not like this random guy or whatever. And it's easy to kind of transition, they engage and move forward. And it builds that trust like right throughout, I guess, the process and the purchase. Because sometimes they're like, look, I trust you, you do your thing. And they kind of just leave me to purchase the property and all the rest of it. So I think, it's super powerful. And I reflected on this not too long ago, because I watched heaps of podcasts, and naturally we all do, right? Watch podcasts. And that person that you're watching on a podcast might not know you exist at all, but you know them and you feel like you know them. So I think it's just a great way for your audience to really start to know who you are before they even talk to you, right?
I think perfectly said. We have a few people in this industry which think it doesn't work at all, social media, which blows my mind. I think maybe if you are inconsistent and you post once a week and you don't really put much into it, you get in return that. It's not going to come back in dollars for you. But I think what you've done really well is obviously you're just a bloke trying it and getting better at it. And that's super important first. Like anyone can do this. But you've also got the properties behind you, now owning 9 properties. You're telling everyone how to do it, but you've also done it yourself. You're building so much trust. People are going, this bloke knows what he's doing. He's putting his money where his mouth is. I saw that on your website. That's what you're big on.
And I try and preach that a lot, right? Because I'm out there and I'm like, for the last 2 years, I've been saying you need to purchase, you need to purchase, you need to purchase. Interest rates are not going to affect property prices, blah, 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 blah. And some people I see sit on their hands for 2 years and it just costs them money, right? But I've been out there purchasing the whole time. I've been able to build capital growth to now go into more and more purchases. And at the end of the day, I'm just an average dude from a small regional town. I'm not anything special, but I work exceptionally hard and have a good work ethic. And it's just out there taking action. Anyone can do it, right? So just got to give it a crack.
Did you ever imagine this would be you, 9 properties in?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
I think, so when I did my course in 2012, my teacher at the time in TAFE taught some really valuable lessons, and it was around goal setting. And that's when I really started to set goals. And for my personality type, I think goals are really important. And I made a goal at that point in time at 21 to have 10 properties by the age of 30.
Okay.
And obviously I haven't achieved that yet. But at 21, I probably didn't understand what was involved in that. And back then, if I kind of did things a little bit sooner than I ended up doing, it would have been more achievable. I definitely knew that I would have a property portfolio one day for sure. Because once I set my mind to something, go out there and get it.
What's your personality type?
If anyone knows me, I'm a very all or nothing person. I get obsessed on things, which is good, right? But it can also be detrimental. So one of the things, I guess for me this year is a prime example. is I've stayed off the booze completely, and I've done that for the last probably 3 years. I've heavily stayed off it and just done it here and there, and probably going to do a year just because I knew this year was going to be massive. My situation, recently had twins, so they're like 8 months old. So I knew that sleep was going to be something that I didn't get much of. So just completely staying off that is something powerful to my personality type, right? Because I can have 2 beers and then all of a sudden I've got 20 and I'm the loosest unit in the room. So it's kind of just, it's understanding that and using that personality type to your advantage and understanding the downside to that personality type sometimes as well, right?
Well said. Totally agree. I think we're similar. Like if I was out on a Sunday at there's beach views, have one or two or something like,
sun, the sun's warming you up too. You're like a lizard.
Exactly. Feeling good.
Yeah.
Maybe have one or two more. Totally understand. Really cool. And congratulations on Bub. That's twins. Exciting and scary.
Scary, very scary. So it's a weird adjustment, but.
My final question for you. What's your definition of success?
My definition of success, it's not anything to do with like amount of income or anything like that. It's more being able to create, I guess, a life where one, you love what you do every day, and if you get paid for it, even better. But just having the balance where you can do things that you enjoy, right? Like if, for me, on the weekend, if I can get to the beach, go for a walk, have a coffee, have a chat with my partner and all the rest of it, it's just like super, super simple things getting out in nature. So whatever you like and enjoy, if you can do more of that, not have to like slave away working as well, right? Massive hours. I think that's more definition of success, and balancing that with everything in life, being fit and healthy as well, right? That's part of it. So it's just that. Just be an all-rounder, right? Live the best life you can.
Great answer. And I think by that definition, you're a successful man.
About that, but thank you.
Thanks for coming on the pod, mate. We're very excited to release this, and I think people will take a lot from you, and hopefully they follow their journey. And I'm looking forward to seeing how many properties you can buy. How many properties can a man buy? 100?
I don't know. Some people out there are getting closer. I probably won't go that high, but I think by the age of 40, I want to have 20 million assets, and then it's just a matter of letting time do its thing and really build that up.
Good luck. I'll be watching.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.